They inserted other 4 times. And that's very deceitful. And so the thing is that we can't do stuff like that. And okay.
So if we want to look at that text,
yeah. So
have you ever read a book called Truth in Translation by Jason Baddoon?
I'm not familiar with him, but I'm familiar with Bruce Metzger that wrote a few books on Bible manuscripts and stuff like that, though.
Well, Jason Baddoon deals with that subject of inserting the word other in there. He's also a Greek scholar, teaches out of Arizona University.
You know what I mean? We have to be very careful that we don't insert things in the Word of God. So let's look at. We can be fair that all translations. Let's just go ahead and get this. They have inserted English words because there's not always a word for word translation in Greek. So, like the King James, they've always put their words kind of like in italics. Yeah. Where they've added a certain word in there. Yeah, but the problem is they did not do that, though. I'm looking at they have. I mean, they have footnotes and stuff like that, and they're defending what they did. And let me just read it over here, okay? Let me just read it. It says over here on page 589 in the New World Translation of 1950, and I'm trying to find verse 16 over here. Here it goes in the corner. It says, because by means of him, meaning Christ, this is the 1950 New World Translation, the original one. It says, all other, now they have a footnote there, all other things, okay, were created in the heavens and upon the earth. It says the things visible, that's the Greek word, aoratu, and the things invisible, aoratu. No matter where they are, thrones, or lordships, or governments, or authorities, or all other, see, they inserted that again, all other things have been created through him and for him. And just real quick, verse 17 is a very short one. Also, he is before all other things, and by means of him, all other things were made, okay, to exist. Now, the problem that I had, and then you can comment on it as I get my Greek New Testament over here, okay? The problem,
I've also got Greek before me as well.
You're good. Now, I don't know which one you have, but I mean, I go.
I have the Westcott and Hort.
Yeah, well, that's very good because you're going back to the most ancient authorities when you're talking about Westcott and Hort. You're talking about Sinaiticus and Vaticanus. You know, manuscript 01 and manuscript 03. Aleph and.
I'm trying to get my hands on the BDAG, but it's very expensive.
What, the Vaticanus?
No, the BDAG.
Oh, okay. But you can go online and get a photographed copy by the dear people at I think it's CSNTM Centers for the Studies of New Testament Manuscripts. You know, you can get on their website, check out thousands of manuscripts. You know, now let's get into the Greek here, okay?
Yep.
Now, according to Vines, okay, you have several words that could be translated other. You have, like I said before, you have loipos, heteros, alelan, and you have several other words. You have about 7 words that they list there. None appear in the text, and it's not to make sense of the passage. Is to agree, to change it is to agree with their doctrines that he was a creature before Bethlehem. And they had a big problem when they came to this text, though. That's the problem. That's the issue. They had a very big dilemma. They said they had to translate it in another way. It's not that they were inserting words, you know, like, for example, Hebrews, the King James inserted, the Son in Hebrews 1, 3 or something like that, verse 2, just to make sense of that. It's just that they translated, they translated it in a way to insert, 4 times other, so that way the doctrine of Jesus being created can be maintained. And I'm just saying, as according to the Greek, I mean, if you study Greek, it says over here, let's look at this passage. It says hati, which has the rough reading on the omicron. That's why you pronounce it hati. It says because, it's translated because. It says in, Greek word in, him, Greek word auto with the omega in the end. It says were created, the Greek word ektisthe, with the theta and the eta in the end. Okay, it says here ta panta, all things. That's what is translated here. All things. The Greek word panta, p alpha nu tau alpha. Okay, so it says all things. It doesn't say all other things. All of those other Greek words are not there. The Greek word en over here for in, epsilon and nu, tois for the. It says heavens. Uranois, okay, you have the diphthong over there. If you're a Greek scholar, you know what a diphthong is. Omicron and iota makes one sound as a diphthong. And it says, and on the kai epi tes, okay, on the earth, the Greek word gaze. It says the visible, horata over here, and Greek conjunction kai, ta, okay, aorata, invisible. And I'll be quick about it, and then you give me the whole explanation. You can take all the time you want. It says, ite or ete, whether, okay, thrones, Greek word thronoi, or, that's the Greek word ite, lordships, or, it says rulers, the Greek word archai, or, okay, authorities, and again, ta panta, all things. Through, now it says in there in Greek, if you know what a Elysian is, the Greek is dia, but they dropped the alpha and they added an apostrophe. That's an Elysian. Okay, him, Greek word autou, and for him, Greek word auton, have been created. Now, verse 17, and after that, I mean, you can take the floor. And he, the Greek words kai, autos, is before, you see, estin pro, okay, p rho omicron for pro, all things, ponton. Ponton, it's all other things. And all things, again, panta, p alpha nu tau alpha, in him, en auto, consisted. Okay.
You still there?
Yeah, no, I'm still here. I know I talked a lot, so I'm just letting you, talk all you want there.
Okay. Now, you being a Greek scholar, you must know that in Greek, the word all is very commonly used as a hyperbole. And when translating, the translators have a duty to make sure that they translate what is implicit and make it explicit. An example of that would be Luke 21:29, when Jesus speaks of the fig trees and all the trees, Panta, Dendra.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the New American Bible, the today's English version, and the Living Bible all use the word other in their translations when the word other is not in the Greek. Because they understand that in order to make it sound right in English, they have to insert the word other so it doesn't sound ridiculously wooden.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, and then you can go on. Though, does it sound ridiculous? Which one sounds more ridiculous, NRK or all things? NRK in English, because it'll be in beginning. It's no in the beginning. It's not RK will probably be the definite article, one of those ADA articles. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I do. And you ask what sounds more ridiculous. I mean, listen to the American Standard Version translation of Luke 21:29. It says, "And he spake to them a parable.
Yeah.
Behold the fig tree and all the trees." Now, in English, people said, look at this fig tree and all the other trees. We would insert the word other because that's how our language is, to make it flow and to make it sound like it's symmetrical. Symmetry, smooth. Well, the Greek isn't like that, and so when we translate from Greek into English, we have to make sure that it's a smooth read to the reader.
Well, let me ask.
The New World Translation.
Yeah.
The New World Translation is not the only group of translators that have added words to make something sound smooth when it's not in the Greek. As I just quoted to you, the New Living Bible, the New American Bible, and the today's English version, and the Living Bible have done the same thing in Luke 21:29. Now, the American Standard, Byington, and King James, they didn't do that.
Well,
they all use the word all the trees.
Well, let me ask
you.
So
my point is, because the word is a hyperbole in Greek, the word other is implicit. And so, as an English translator, you have the responsibility to make it sound right in English by inserting the word other.
Well, let me ask you a question, though, Tony, okay? What is more important in theology? The doctrine of Jesus Christus or Kulu or Zulu? Which one?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the word Zulu.
Well, that's the Greek word. That's the Greek word for tree. So that's one of the Greek word for trees. So I'm just giving you an example. When you have the doctrine of trees, okay, compared to, the doctrine of the Son of God, I mean, you can translate you can put other in for trees all you want. I don't care about that. But when you talk about the Son of the living God, the huios, okay, the huios, of when you're talking about the doctrine of the huios, of a parterre of the Father. You have to be very careful that you don't change his nature. You can do that with trees all you want. I don't care about the trees,
Well, now, Angelo, I'm talking about being consistent, and it's not the duty of the translator to get into theology or doctrine. His job is to take the Greek and to put it into English properly. That is his one and only job. It's not his job to translate it for doctrine or for theology. That's not his job. And he wants to be consistent in Luke all the way to Colossians and Philippians. Yeah. He has to be consistent as a translator. If he's not consistent, what happens? We see contradictions.
Well, that's
we can't have that. And bias enters in. See, that's the problem with American translations. Most translations are translated by Trinitarians. And because of that, they're biased.
But
Jason McGinn, the man that I spoke about, he had no stake in the game. He was just a Greek translator. Yeah. He's not for Watchtower, and he's not for Trinitarians. Right. He was just an honest Greek translator. And he makes it very clear, and I agree with Jason McGinn, it is not the translator's job, the translator's job to get into doctrine and to start explaining text and exegeting them. That's not his job.
And I agree wholeheartedly with you, and that's why, and if you just allow me to say this, that's why I always teach when I am debating King James only camp advocates or, people at that camp, I always tell them that because there's a difference between transmission and translation, okay? Transmission is when you're preserving the text. I don't care what it is that you're doing, if it's in an app or if it's on a piece of paper or on a piece of papyri or in parchments, or I don't care how you're preserving them. That's transmission from the same language to the same language, okay? Now, translations, everybody knows what that is, from, for example, Masoretic text to English or something like that. not Hebrew to Hebrew. That would be transmission. That's not translation.